All right, guys, here we go. We are going to start Unit 13, Topic 1, Simplifying Rational Expressions. I'm going to write down 3 problems that I want you to try on your own. These are going to be your warm-up problems. Okay, so our warm-up problems. I want you to factor. Remember, factor means find the 2 things that multiply together, or 3 or 4 things that multiply together to get my original equation. It could be a GCF or it could be the parentheses in eye chart. So I have 3x plus 27, that's problem number 1, 14x squared plus 28x, and x squared minus x minus 6. So I want you to pause the video and I want you to try to work these out. Okay, so once you've paused the video and tried to work these out, let's go over them real quick. I have a 3x and a 27. I know that both of these can be divided by 3. So my GCF is 3. So I'm going to take a 3 out and figure out what's left over. 3x divided by 3 would be x, and 27 divided by 3 would be 9. Nothing else in here can break down anymore. I don't have another number I can divide by. I don't have a letter I can divide by. I can't make an eye chart because remember, an eye chart has to have 3 terms, an A, a B, and a C, and I don't have that over here. So this would be my answer. 3 times x plus 9. This is the factored form of 3x plus 27. So for problem number 2, I see a 14 and a 28. I know those are both divisible by 4. Oh, excuse me, 2, not 4. They're both divisible by 2, both divisible by 7, but they are also both divisible by 14. And since I want the GCF, the greatest, I know I want 14. They also both have the letter X, so that is part of my GCF. So 14X is my GCF. Now I need to figure out what is left over. 14x squared, 14 divided by 14 is 1, and x squared divided by x is x. 28 divided by 14 would be a positive 2, and x divided by x would be 1, so I don't write any letters inside. And then my last one has an x squared, negative x, and negative 6. This does not have a GCF. There's nothing I can divide a 1, a negative 1, and a negative 6 by. So I'm going to try to make my eye chart. And if you know your multiplication, you don't have to make this eye chart. You need to be able to do this part in your head if you know your multiplication. If not, we got to work on that. So my negative 6 goes at the top. My negative 1 goes at the bottom. I know 6 is 1 times 6 and 2 times 3. How can I get a negative 1? That'd be a positive 2 and a negative 3. So my factors would be x plus 2 and x minus 3. There's no GCF, so nothing goes in front. This is our warm-up. This is factoring. This is GCF. You have to know how to do this to be successful this unit. If you do not understand how to do this, then you need to go to Google and you need to practice factoring or pulling out a GCF. Okay? So our notes for today. We are simplifying rational expressions. When I see the word simplify, it means get as small as possible. So I want to look for GCF. I want to look for factors or eye charts. We can write that down too, eye charts. And I want to always simplify fractions. So if I have 2 over 6, I don't want 2 over 6. Instead, I would want 1 over 3. So we're going to walk through 6 problems together, okay? I want you to pause after each problem and truly try to do this on your own. So my first problem would say 15x to the 6 divided by 9x cubed. So pause and see what you can divide both of these by. So I see that 15 and 9 can both be divided by 3. I'm going to write that over here. I know I can divide them by 3. What else do they both have in common? They both have x, and they have 3 x's in common. So if I have 15x, we're just going to do one side at a time. 15x to the 6. 15 divided by 3 is 5. X to the 6 divided by x cubed would give me x cubed. It's because I have 6 x's on top, and I'm dividing by 3 x's. So this is 1, 1, 1. So what's left is 3 x's. Now let's look at my denominator. I have 9x cubed divided by 3x cubed. 9 divided by 3 is 3. X cubed divided by x cubed would just give me 1, and we know we don't need to write that. So my final answer is right here, 5x cubed divided by 3. So here's our next one, 140a cubed b over 60ab squared. Pause and see if you can figure out what numbers and letters you can divide both of these by. Okay, so I know that I can divide both of these by 10. I'm going to start there because I might not see what else I can divide it by. So I'm going to divide by 10. So if I divide the top by 10, I would have 14a cubed b. If I divide the bottom by 10, I would have 6ab squared. Well, 14 and 6, that's part of simplifying fractions. 14 and 6 can both be divided by 2. So I'm going to have 7a cubed b over 3ab squared. Now, we've done this before in previous unit. We shouldn't have the same letters on top and bottom, especially if there's no plus or minus signs. So let's simplify this down a little more. My 7 and 3 are going to stay where they are. If I have 3 a's on top and 1 a on bottom, I know my a's are going to stay on top because there's more, and 3 minus 1 would be 2. My b's, there's more b's on bottom. There's 1 b on top, 2 b's on bottom, so I would end up with 1 b on the bottom. We don't write an exponent of 1. Okay? All right, we're going to make this a little bit harder. So let's try 3x minus 12 divided by 3x squared minus 12x. So this is very similar to the first two warm-up problems. I'm trying to find a GCF. We always want to break it down as much as we can because next week we're going to add, subtract, multiply, and divide things that look like this. And we have to get it broken down first. So just looking at the top, don't be overwhelmed. Just look at the top. I have a 3x and a 12. I know that both of those are divisible by 3. So I take out my 3, and I'm going to see what's left over. 3x divided by 3 is x. Negative 12 divided by 3 is negative 4. And in the bottom, so now we're just going to look at the bottom, I have 3x squared minus 12x. I still have a 3 and 12. I know those are both divisible by 3. What else do they have exactly the same? They have an x, and I need to know what's left over. So if I have a 3x squared and I divide or take out my 3x, all that's left is x. If I have a negative 12x, negative 12 divided by 3 is negative 4, and x divided by x is 1, but we don't write that. Okay, here's the part I need you to pay attention to. These are fractions, and we know that when we have the exact same thing on top and on bottom, it cancels out because it equals 1. So go back up here real quick and let's look. X divided by x, that's the same over same. We know this equals 1. So I have 3 times x minus 4, and in my denominator I have a 3x times x minus 4. Because these are all multiplying, my adding and subtracting is inside, okay? If my adding and subtracting was outside, then I couldn't cancel. Because it's inside, I can cancel things. So I know that 3 divided by 3 is 1. So let's start there, okay? So I know that 3 divided by 3 is 1. So what I have left over is x minus 4 divided by x times x minus 4. What is x minus 4 divided by x minus 4? That's the same on top of same, so it equals 1. So what's left over is an x in my denominator. And in math, when I have nothing in the numerator, I have to put the number 1. So 3x minus 12 divided by 3x squared minus 12x all simplifies down to 1 over x. I'm going to give you another one. I want you to pause and try it by yourself. 8x cubed minus 16x squared. I'm going to divide by 4x squared minus 8x. Don't get overwhelmed. Look at the top, then look at the bottom, okay? So pause and look at the top. So in the top, I have an 8 and a 16. I know those are both divisible by 8. This one has 3 x's. This one has 2 x's. So they both share 2 x's. That's the most they both have, the same. So what would be left over? 8x cubed. If I take out my 8x squared, I'd be left with just an x. Negative 16x squared divided by 8 would give me a negative 2. And x squared divided by x squared just gives me the 1. And I don't write times 1. Let's go look at the bottom only now. I have a 4x squared minus 8x. 4 and 8, those can both be divisible by 4. This one has 2 x's, this one has 1 x, so they share 1 x. 4x squared divided by 4x is just x. Negative 8x divided by 4x, so negative 8 divided by 4 is 2, and x divided by x would be 1. So let's go see what I can simplify. So right away, I see that I have an x minus 2 and an x minus 2. Those will cancel because that just equals 1. So let's rewrite what I have. 8x squared divided by 4x. Let's simplify our fractions, the number part first. What is 8 divided by 4? Well, that's 2, and it's going to go on top because my 8's bigger than 4. I have 2 x's on top and 1 x on bottom. So where will my x's end up? On the top. And how many x's are on top? Just 1. This one does not have a denominator because there's nothing left over. So my answer would just be 2x. We're going to go do 2 more problems. And they are going to get a little bit harder. This time we're going to have to factor with our I problem. So first one's going to say x squared minus 5x plus 6. We are going to divide by x squared plus 2x minus 15. Again, don't get overwhelmed. Look at one side, then the other. So I have an x squared a negative 5x, and a positive 6. They do not have a GCF, but I can go try. I'm going to go to the far over here, make my eye chart if I need to. My positive 6 goes on top. My negative 5 goes on bottom. I have 1 times 6 and 2 times 3. Be very careful. I could get a negative 6 here, but a positive times a negative is not a positive 6, so I can't use this one. But a negative 2 and a negative 3 added together would give me negative 5, multiplied would give me positive 6. So I know that my first set of parentheses is going to say x minus 2 times x minus 3. Let's go look at the bottom. Same thing, no GCF. I have 3 terms, so I'm going to go make an eye chart. I'm going to do it on the side because I don't want to mess up my work over here. Negative 15, positive 2. So I have 1 and 15, 3 and 5. How do I get a positive 2? I would have a positive 5 and a negative 3. So in the bottom, I'm going to have x minus 3 times x plus 5. These are all being multiplied together, so I can look for things that when they are divided equals 1. I know that x minus 3 divided by x minus 3 would equal 1. So what do I have left? On top, I have x minus 2, and in my denominator, I have x plus 5. Okay, we're going to do one last problem. So my very last problem is going to say x squared minus 2x minus 24. And in the denominator, I'm going to have, oops, just a second, sorry, that messed up. In my denominator, I'm going to have 5x plus 20. I want you to pause and try to factor this yourself. So to not get overwhelmed, I'm just going to look at one side. I see 3 terms. 3 terms is a good hint that you're probably going to need an eye chart. My x squared is by itself, so my eye chart would have a negative 24 on top and a negative 2 on bottom. 24 is a tricky one, you better be careful. I have 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. How do I get a negative 2? I would have a positive 4 and a negative 6. So on the top, I'm going to have x plus 4 and x minus 6. So let's go look at my denominator. My denominator does not have 3 terms, so I'm not making an eye chart, okay? I need to ask for a GCF. I have a 5x plus 20. What do they both have? Exactly the same. I can divide both of them by the number 5. 5x divided by 5 would give me x, and 20 divided by 5 would give me a positive 4. Everything's being multiplied. Even though this is x plus 4, that term, that whole thing is being multiplied by the second term. So I see an x plus 4 divided by x plus 4. So I know that these will cancel out because it equals 1. So what do I have left over? I have x minus 6 divided by 5. Nothing else can simplify or cancel out, okay? I do want you to be careful. Let's say what if. What if I ended up with this? Could I simplify this down to say x minus 2? No, that's a big fat no. You cannot do that because this 10 is being held to that x with a subtraction sign. You can't separate things and only divide them, okay? Divide part of it. You have to divide the whole thing or nothing at all. So be very careful with this. Your assignment today is in Schoology under Unit 13, Topic 1. There's only one worksheet in there. I need you to really work and do as many problems as this as you can, because let me just show you real quick. Next week, we're going to start doing adding and subtracting. And so look at these problems. These adding and subtracting problems have simplifying in there first, okay? So I really need you to work and make yourself do it this weekend to practice, because if you don't understand topic 1, you cannot do topic 2, 3, or 4, okay? So work with neighbors, work with anybody who can help you. If you need more videos, there are more videos in the topic 1 folder. You may go in there and watch them and keep watching them until you understand it.